Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are getting into something that causes, well, a lot of stress for IELTS test takers, the reading section.
Oh, absolutely.
You know that feeling, right? Where you think, okay, my English comprehension is pretty good, but then you look at the clock in the test and it just seems to be flying.
That feeling is almost universal. It's completely understandable. You've got 60 minutes, just 1 hour,
For 3 long passages.
3 dense passages, and 40 questions to get through. It's intense.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, the really critical point you need to grasp right away. This test isn't just about how good your English is. It's maybe even more about how well you handle the clock. It's an aggressive test of your reading strategy.
Right. Strategy over just pure comprehension speed.
Exactly. Time management and technique.
So our mission for this deep dive is to, well, cut through all the vague advice out there and give you a really clear, actionable strategy guide, something you can actually use. This is about stopping that feeling of being overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of text,
And starting to see the clock as something you can manage, not just something that's working against you.
Okay, so to succeed, you first need to face the core problem head on. It's the word count versus the time limit.
Absolutely. If you go into those passages thinking you need to read them like a novel, appreciating every word,
You're already behind.
you've basically failed before you even start reading question 1. We need to completely rewire that approach towards, frankly, ruthless efficiency.
Okay, let's unpack that. What's the single biggest mistake? I know the prep materials all point to one main thing.
Yeah, they do. It's reading the passage word by word from beginning to end.
Why is that so bad? I mean, isn't reading understanding?
In a normal context, yes. But in IELTS reading, it's a guaranteed path to running out of time. Think about it. You're trying to understand every single detail.
Right.
But most of those details, they're completely irrelevant to the 40 questions you actually need to answer.
Oh, okay.
Maybe only, say, 20% of the text actually contains the specific answers. So reading everything means you're spending 80% of your valuable time on stuff that won't get you any marks.
That's a huge waste. So this is where the strategy comes in.
Precisely.
We need to talk about 2 key tools, things you absolutely have to master. Skimming and scanning. I know people sometimes get these confused. Can we define them really clearly?
Yes, let's nail these down. Skimming is what you do first. It's your initial pass over the passage.
Like getting the lay of the land.
Exactly. You read the title, any headings or subheadings, look at bold text, maybe pictures or diagrams if there are any.
Okay.
And crucially, read the first sentence and the last sentence of each paragraph. Maybe glance at names, dates.
And how fast should this be?
Fast. Really fast. Think maybe 30 seconds, perhaps up to a minute per paragraph, tops. Your goal isn't to understand details yet.
Just the general idea.
Yeah, the general topography, what's this passage about, where are the different subtopics located. You're building a mental map.
Okay, so skimming creates the map. Then scanning. That's different.
Totally different. Scanning is like a surgical strike. It happens after you've read a specific question.
Okay, so you read the question first, then scan.
Yes. You identify the keywords in the question, and then you scan the relevant part of the passage only for those keywords, or, crucially, their synonyms.
Give us an example.
Okay, say a question asks, according to paragraph C, what was the main difficulty the project team encountered?
Right.
You don't reread all of paragraph C. You quickly scan that specific paragraph just looking for words like difficulty, obstacle, challenge, problem, issue, hindrance, maybe encountered or faced.
You're ignoring everything else.
Pretty much. Your eyes are just hunting for those target words or concepts. You use the question to guide your search.
That makes a lot more sense than just reading it all again. But what about, tricky vocabulary? You're scanning, you hit a word you don't know, maybe some academic term. That can really break your rhythm, can't it? What's the advice there?
Right. That's a common panic point. The absolute key is do not stop. Don't panic.
Easier said than done.
True. But it's crucial. If you hit an unknown word, your first instinct should be to try and guess its meaning very quickly from the words immediately around it. Maybe 3 words before, 3 words after.
Context clues.
Exactly. Often that's enough to get the gist. But if you still can't figure it out, or it takes more than a second or 2,
move on.
You must move on. Letting one confusing word derail you for 30 seconds means you might lose the time needed for 2 or 3 easier questions later. It's a tactical error you just can't afford in this test.
Okay, don't get bogged down by single words. Got it. Now, you mentioned synonyms when scanning. That brings us to another big challenge.
Ah, yes. The vocabulary trap. IELTS writers love using synonyms and paraphrasing.
Yeah, this trips up so many people. They scan for the exact word from the question, don't find it, and think the answer isn't there or it's not given.
When actually the answer is right there, just dressed up in different words. You have to expect paraphrasing. It's guaranteed.
So we need to think beyond simple stuff like children becoming youngsters.
Oh, much beyond. We're often talking about academic or more formal vocabulary substitutions.
Can you give us some more complex examples, things people really need to watch out for?
Sure. Let's say the question mentions something like the negative consequences of urban expansion.
Okay.
The passage might not use those exact words. It might talk about the detrimental effects of city growth or the adverse impacts stemming from urbanization.
Ah, I see. Negative becomes detrimental or adverse. Consequences becomes effects or impacts.
Precisely. You're searching for the underlying meaning, the core concept, not just the identical word. This is absolutely key.
So prep involves not just learning words, but learning their common synonyms, especially in academic contexts.
Definitely. Building those synonym links in your mind is crucial practice.
Okay, but what if you're scanning, you're looking for synonyms, you're looking for the meaning, but you're still stuck? Can't seem to locate the answer in the paragraph. Any fallback techniques?
That's a good question. If the synonyms aren't jumping out, look for structural clues in the sentences.
Like grammar.
Sort of. Often the answer might be hidden in, say, a defining clause starting with which or that, or maybe in a positive phrase set off by commas.
Okay.
Or if the question asks for a cause or effect, look for those signal words. Because since, as a result, therefore, consequently, these linking words often flag the crucial information, even if the vocabulary around them is tricky.
That's clever. Using the sentence structure itself as a guide.
It can sometimes unlock things when the vocabulary match isn't obvious.
All right, let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of the question types themselves. Some of them are just notoriously confusing. Top of the list has to be true, false, not given.
Ah, TFNG, yes. The bane of many students' existence.
The difference between false and not given feels so blurry sometimes.
It does, and test writers often exploit that ambiguity, but there is a precise difference, and understanding it is maybe the biggest conceptual leap you need to make.
Okay, break it down for us.
Right. True is straightforward. The statement in the question perfectly matches the information given in the passage. It agrees.
Easy enough.
False means the statement explicitly contradicts what's in the passage. It says the opposite. There must be information in the text that directly proves the statement wrong.
Okay, a direct contradiction. So what about not given?
Not given means the specific information needed to say whether the statement is true or false simply isn't there. The passage might talk about the general topic, but it doesn't provide the particular detail or relationship mentioned in the question statement.
So the information is just absent.
Completely absent. You can't find evidence to confirm it, and you can't find evidence to contradict it.
Let's test this. Say the passage states, the city library was opened in 1952 after 5 years of construction.
Okay.
And the question statement says, the library took 10 years to build. False or not given.
That's clearly false. The passage says 5 years, the statement says 10 years. Direct contradiction.
Okay, now, new statement. The library's chief architect also designed the town hall.
Based only on the passage sentence you gave, that's not given.
Why?
Because the passage only mentioned the opening date and construction time. It said nothing whatsoever about the architect or what else they designed. We simply don't have the information to say true or false.
Ah, okay. That distinction is vital. You can't bring in outside knowledge.
Never. Only use what's written in the passage. And be aware, passage 3 often has more not given answers, specifically to test your ability to recognize when information is truly missing.
Good tip. Okay, next tricky one, matching headings. People seem to spend ages on this.
They do, often because they approach it inefficiently. They try to read the whole paragraph deeply first.
What's the efficient way?
Remember skimming. Use that technique here. For each paragraph, read the first sentence, the topic sentence usually, and the last sentence, which often summarizes or concludes.
The bookends of the paragraph.
Exactly. Those two sentences usually give you about 80% of the main idea needed to match the heading.
What else helps? After the first and last sentences.
Look for keywords or theme words that are repeated maybe 2 or 3 times within the paragraph. If words related to, say, environmental policy and economic challenges keep popping up, the heading needs to reflect both those ideas.
Makes sense. Don't pick a heading based on one small detail.
Definitely not. Focus on the overall main point.
Okay, one last question, type warning before we talk time.
Yeah.
Sentence completion. These look simple, but
Oh, the word limits. Yes. This is where silly marks are lost.
how so?
Precision is everything here. Before you write anything, check the instructions. If it says no more than 2 words and/or a number,
You write 3 words.
you get 0 marks for that question. Even if your answer is factually correct and makes perfect sense, you absolutely must adhere to the word limit. Write only what's required, no extra words. IELTS is incredibly strict on this.
A harsh penalty for a small mistake. Good warning. Okay, so we have all these strategies for tackling the passages and questions, but none of it matters if you run out of time.
Exactly. Time pressure is the monster under the bed for most people. So how do you split that precious 60 minutes?
Well, the first thing is to ditch the idea of just dividing it equally, right? Like 20 minutes per passage.
Yes, absolutely forget that. The passages aren't equally difficult. They're intentionally tiered.
Passage 1 is usually the easiest.
Generally, yes. Often about a more familiar social or general topic. So you need to be quick here. We recommend allocating only about 15 to 18 minutes for passage 1.
Build up a time buffer early.
Precisely. Get through it quickly and accurately. Then passage 2 tends to be a bit more complex, maybe more academic or historical.
So a bit longer for that one,
Slightly. Aim for about 18 to 20 minutes for passage 2.
which leaves the most time for the hardest one.
Passage 3. This is usually the most challenging. Denser academic language, more complex questions maybe, identifying writers' views, or those tricky TFNGs we talked about.
More not given answers, possibly.
Right, so this one gets the biggest chunk of time. Aim for 22 minutes for passage 3.
15, 18, then 18, 20, then 22. That requires discipline.
It does. You need to stick to those times quite religiously. Which brings us to test day logistics. Crucial rule number 1. What do you do if you get stuck on a question?
Move on. Immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't agonize. Set a mental timer, maybe 90 seconds max per question. If you can't find the answer or you're unsure after that.
Circle it, guess, and go.
Exactly. Guess if you have to. There's no penalty for wrong answers in IELTS reading, so never leave a blank. But the key is to move on.
Why is getting stuck so dangerous?
Because you start burning time disproportionately. You might spend 5 minutes wrestling with one question worth maybe 2.5% of your score.
And that's 5 minutes you desperately needed for passage 3.
Precisely. You rob yourself of the time needed to potentially answer several easier questions later. It's a downward spiral. Treat your time like money. Don't overspend on one difficult item.
Okay, move on. Rule number 2. Possibly even more critical, especially when stressed.
Transferring answers? Oh, yes.
Tell us about transferring answers.
This is a huge pitfall. Unlike the listening test, where you get 10 extra minutes at the end specifically to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.
In reading, you get
0. Absolutely no extra time. The 60 minutes includes reading, answering, and transferring.
So if you wait until minute 58 to start filling in the bubbles,
You're probably going to run out of time or rush and make careless mistakes, writing the answer in the wrong box, spelling errors. You could easily lose 5, 6, maybe more marks just through poor transfer technique.
what's the solution then?
Transfer as you go. Maybe after you finish each question type or at the end of each passage, find a system that works for you, but don't leave it all until the very end. Solve a block of questions, transfer those answers carefully, then move to the next block.
Okay, crucial advice. So with all this in mind, the skimming, scanning, synonyms, question types, time management, how should someone actually practice? Starting today, let's say based on their current level.
Right, practice needs to be targeted. Let's think in tiers. For beginners, people perhaps newer to IELTS or finding the reading really tough.
What's the focus?
Forget complex strategies for a moment. Focus purely on building basic comprehension and stamina and identifying basic structure. Use shorter, simpler texts first.
Like what?
Summaries from news websites, simple Wikipedia articles, maybe even graded readers or materials designed for younger native speakers. The key practice is just underlined names, dates, numbers, and try to identify the main topic of each paragraph. Just get comfortable navigating text quickly.
Okay. What about intermediate learners? They understand English well, but maybe struggle with the test format itself.
Right. For intermediates, the key is to stop reading random articles and dive straight into official Cambridge IELTS practice tests.
Why official tests specifically?
Because at this stage, you're not just learning English anymore, you are learning how the test works. You need to see exactly how IELTS writers construct questions, how they use paraphrasing, how they set traps. Official materials are essential for this.
So analyze the test structure and question styles.
Exactly. Deliberately study the relationship between the questions and the text in past papers.
And for advanced learners, maybe they're aiming for a very high band score, like 8 or 9.
For advanced learners, the challenge is stamina and handling complexity under pressure, especially for passage 3.
So tougher materials.
Definitely. You need to push yourself with materials that mirror the density and academic style of the hardest passages. Think articles from publications like The Economist, New Scientist, Nature, or similar academic journals.
Build that mental muscle for sustained focus.
Precisely. Reading that kind of complex text regularly builds the concentration you need to stay sharp during that final, crucial 22-minute sprint on passage 3.
And underlying all of this, regardless of level, is consistency.
Oh, absolutely. Consistency is king. Reading has to become a daily habit, even if it's just for a short time.
Doesn't always have to be IELTS passages.
No, not at all. Read things you enjoy, novels, blogs, articles about your hobbies, technical manuals if that's your thing. The key is regular exposure to written English.
Because 10 minutes every day.
Is far, far more effective for building reading speed, vocabulary recognition, and stamina than trying to cram for 2 or 3 hours just once a week. Little and often wins.
Great advice. Okay, let's try and wrap this deep dive up. Key takeaways for everyone listening.
I'd say number 1, understand this test is fundamentally about strategy and time management, not just English ability.
Right. Number 2, master skimming and scanning. Map the text first, then hunt for specific answers. Don't read every word.
Number 3, anticipate synonyms and paraphrasing constantly. Look for meaning, not just identical words.
4, really nail down the difference between false and not given. Only use the text, never outside knowledge.
And 5, stick ruthlessly to your time plan. 15-18 minutes for passage 1, 18-20 for passage 2, and save a solid 22 minutes for the challenge of passage 3, and transfer answers as you go.
Got it. Those are the strategic pillars.
And maybe one more thing, the mental game. When you open that test booklet and see those long passages, it's easy to feel intimidated.
Yeah, the pressure is real.
So remember to stay calm. Take a couple of deep breaths. Trust the methods we've talked about. You have the tools now. Improvement takes practice. It won't happen overnight. But applying these strategies consistently gives you back control.
Control's a good word. It's about being proactive, not reactive.
Exactly. You're executing a plan, not just fighting the clock.
Okay, a final thought to leave our listeners with. We talked about making reading a daily habit, maybe reading articles or blogs. And you mentioned earlier how things like subtitles on videos can actually help word recognition speed.
Yeah, passive exposure can build things up over time.
So here's the question for you listening. What's one seemingly non-academic activity you already do daily? Maybe it's checking sports scores, reading comments on social media, browsing recipes, looking at product descriptions online, reading game walkthroughs. Could you intentionally tweak that habit slightly? Maybe spend an extra minute or two really focusing on the language used to build your reading stamina and vocabulary recognition without it feeling like formal studying.
That's a great challenge. Find your own unique, maybe even fun way to integrate that little bit of extra focused reading practice into your everyday routine. It all adds